You walked into a meeting with your shirt on backwards. You're convinced everyone saw it, everyone judged it, everyone will remember it. Here's what actually happened. Not a single person noticed. And the reason why reveals something unsettling about how your brain sabotages your own confidence. In 2000, psychologists Thomas Gilovich and Kenneth Savitsky at Cornell University ran an experiment that proved this. They had college students wear an embarrassing t-shirt with a large picture of Barry Manilow's face on it into a room full of strangers. Before entering, each student predicted that roughly 50% of the room would notice and remember the shirt. After the interaction, the researchers asked the strangers what they remembered. Only 23% had even registered the shirt existed. This is called the spotlight effect. Your brain creates an imaginary spotlight shining directly on you, exaggerating how much others are paying attention to your appearance, your mistakes, your awkward pauses, your slip-ups. You feel watched, you feel judged. But the truth is far simpler. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to think about you. And to understand why your brain does this, we need to look at how your attention actually works. Because the mechanism behind the spotlight effect explains almost every social anxiety you've ever felt. When you're in a room, your attention is locked on you, your appearance, your voice, your posture. Everything feels like a spotlight because from your perspective, it is. But here's the cognitive asymmetry that matters. Everyone else's attention is locked on themselves. They're worried about how they look, not about how you look. They're editing what they say next, not analyzing what you just said. Your brain fails to account for this. Psychologists call this the curse of knowledge. You cannot escape the fact that you know what you're thinking, so you assume others do too. Take a real example. You fumble a presentation at work. You stammer on one sentence. In your mind, the entire room just watched you fail. You replay it for days, but ask your colleagues a week later, and most won't remember the stammer at all. They'll remember the content. They'll remember whether you seemed confident overall. One moment of imperfection doesn't register because they weren't watching that closely. They were too busy processing the information. In fact, a 2003 follow-up study by Gilovich's team found that even when people wore truly bizarre items, like a large foam nose, observers noticed less than 30% of the time, while participants thought at least 50% would notice. Or take social media. You post a photo and immediately start catastrophizing. Everyone will judge it. Everyone will scrutinize it. You check likes obsessively. But the truth is far quieter. Most people scroll past your photo in 2 seconds without forming any judgment at all. They're thinking about their own posts, their own insecurities, their own spotlights. The spotlight effect shows up in one more place that matters. Your accent, your laugh, the way you walk into a room. You feel hypervisible. You feel like people are noticing every detail. But they're not. They're noticing whether you seem happy or sad, confident or nervous. The granular details you're obsessing over are invisible to them. So why does your brain do this? Evolution. When you were part of a small tribe, visibility mattered. If you made a mistake in front of the group, the consequences were real. Your survival depended on social standing. That ancient wiring is still running today, even though the stakes have completely changed. You're not at risk of exile for stammering in a meeting, but your brain doesn't know that. Here's where this matters. Understanding the spotlight effect doesn't eliminate social anxiety, but it rewires how you should respond to it. When you feel like everyone's watching, pause and ask, would I remember someone else's small mistake if I'd seen it? The answer is almost always no. You forget other people's awkward moments instantly because you're not actually watching them that closely. The spotlight effect reveals that your social anxiety isn't based on reality. It's based on a massive overestimation of how much anyone actually cares about your minor imperfections. But here's the second question this raises. If other people aren't watching you, why do you still feel watched? The answer involves something far more troubling. the person who's actually judging you hardest. So the person with the Barry Manilow shirt wasn't actually being watched, and neither are you. But this same mechanism explains something even darker about human memory and self-judgment. The real answer involves the one person who's actually judging you constantly, and it might not be who you think. If you want to understand that, make sure you're subscribed for what comes next.